What is this? 105 degrees. And I'm getting a phone call. Hold on. Hello?
Hi, Dad.
Hi, honey.
What you doing?
Nothing, just going to get gas. Ooh, I thought I was gonna be in trouble. I forgot my daughter and I had a lunch date. And it was actually yesterday. She says, I forgot about yesterday. And I was like, well, I did too. But it works out because tomorrow I have Anna. So Anna and I will go with her mom to lunch. We'll go have lunch tomorrow. It's a new spot here in Buckeye called Viet Table. They have pho. It's that Vietnamese food. So I've been there once. It was really good. So I want to go back and we're going to go check it out. Like I said, I'm going to get gas, but when I was getting dressed, I put on this shirt that my goddaughter gave me, that Nialetti gave me. That's my goddaughter's name, Nialetti. And it just straight up 90s vibes, just all 90s. So it got me to thinking about my book. And the next question in my book happened to be, what was my high school like? And well, I went to high school in the 90s. So I figured, you know what? Might as well talk about that today. So let me get on this road and tell you about my high school. Class of 94, Carl Hayden High School in Phoenix, Arizona. That's where I went to school at. I went there from 1990 to 1994 and graduated in 94. And well, about the only thing I can tell you about that school, I mean, there's several things I can tell you, but just to stick to the book's question, what was my high school like? It was infested. It was infested with gang members. So there was a lot of gang members there, and there was a lot of trouble at that school. It was known for a troubled school. It was known for having the cops there on a daily. It was known for assaults. It was known for criminal activity. It was a bad school. It was a real bad school, and to the point where like even teachers were getting assaulted by students, the gang members that were there. And part of there was a program there where they actually introduced like rehabilitated inmates to the school, and so they were younger, like let's say kids that went to prison when they were, or went to jail when they were young, 12, 13 years old, then they get out when they're 18, 19 years old. So they put them in high school again, and it happened to be my school. And it was, so we had like 18-year-old and 19-year-old freshmen and just straight criminals, but hey, it is what it is. I mean, I should say it was what it was. But I can't complain, I can't complain it, because other than that, it was still, to me, it was a good school. I avoided all the gang activity. Yeah, I had to prove myself a few times, but it was just stupid things, but I won't get into detail about that. But it wasn't a bad school other than the gangs. Now, that school happened to be out of my district. And it so happened to be at the time that I was going to school, they started this program called the Magnet Program. And what the Magnet Program was designed to do was attract kids from other districts to go to their school. So the high school I was supposed to go to was Maryvale High School. And I didn't want to go to that high school. I wanted to go to Carl Hayden, because I knew it was a bad school and I wanted to go test the waters and I wanted to go. So I went, joined the Magnet Program, and the Magnet Program offers it's like a trade school. So each high school offered a trade school. So Carl Hayden offered agriculture and equine science, which also included veterinary technology classes and horticulture classes and what have you. So I elected to go there and do the equine science class, because I was really into horses at the time. I loved being on horses, riding horses. My stepdad had a few horses, so I would help him train the horses, feed the horses, take care of the horses. So when I found out there was a program for it at that school, I immediately jumped on it, and I joined the equine science program. So that's why I went to that school. And for someone who said they didn't really want to come to Buc-ee's, I sure have been here a lot. This is my third time in the last month. This is where we stopped to get gas on our way to Tucson. And now I'm stopping to get gas here again. But it's close to my house, and it's actually cheaper than Costco. So coming to get gas again. Maybe. Oh yeah, there's one. Let me run in and pay for this. All right. So back to what I was saying. I went to that school for the equine science program, and the other high schools around had like sports medicine. One had sports medicine. One had aerospace, like to be a pilot. One had, I don't even remember what the other ones have, honestly, but I did equine science, so I went there. But the good thing was, one of the reasons why I was able to stay out of trouble so much was because during like when, oh, that's not magnetic. That's not, none of this is magnetic. Son of a gun. During school, one of the reasons why I was able to stay out of trouble so much is because during school hours, my equine science class was actually off campus. So we had to take a school bus like 4 or 5 miles out of town to go to our class, our equine science class, and it was like a big farm. So I did a lot of my classes on the farm. So that's where I learned agriculture, I learned equine science, I learned a little bit about horticulture. So I did that for 4 years. All 4 years in my high school, I had to do that. I had to go to that other school, that vocational school. It's called a vocational school. So I'd show up at my high school in the morning. I'd go to my classes in the morning, and then right around lunchtime is when I would go to catch the school bus, and then get a. Then I'd catch the school bus and go to that school, the other school. So I'd catch the school bus to the other school, and then I'd spend like 3.5 hours at that other school, and then catch the school bus back to my high school. And then I had 2 more classes, or 1 more class. I think I had 1 more class, and then it was time to go home. So I liked it. I liked that school. Both schools, you know, Carl Hayden was my school, and like I said, that vocational school, I call it a vocational school, but it was part of Carl Hayden. It was still called Carl Hayden, but it was just the magnet program, whatever. But I really liked it there, you know, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot in high school, and I don't mean like I learned math, science, English, you know, I shouldn't have switched lanes. Oh well. You know, like any other kid going into high school, I was scared. You know, I was scared. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what I was going to get into, especially picking that school, you know, knowing it was a bad school. But in reality, I kind of picked that school because my mom went to that high school. I had an aunt that went to that high school. So I was like, well, I'll just carry on the tradition. You know, they can't be too mad. But they didn't want me to go to that high school because they know what kind of high school they had become. It was not nearly the same as when they went, obviously. But when I went, it was trouble, and they, you know, they didn't want me to go. But I did want to do the equine program, so I went. And, you know, that's where I started meeting my friends, you know, real friends, you know, besides the ones I grew up with in the neighborhood. You know, you kind of develop a character in high school. It's like you want to fit in with the group, and that's where you find your group. You know, you can go, you know, hang out with the band people, you know, you go hang out with the cheerleaders, go hang out with the jocks, you go hang out with the, you know, with the stoners, you can go hang out with the rockers, you know, back then, you know, you can hang out with the taggers, you can hang around with the skaters, you know, hang around with the bikers. We had a thing called, what was it called? These guys dressed like, it was a combination of bikers and 50 style. What were they called? Rebels. That's what they were called, rebels. So there for a while, I took on the rebel style. You know, I started wearing, you know, because I already wore boots. Going into high school, I wore boots because of horses, obviously. And then working around horses and the farms and all that, you know, we wore boots. But these rebels would wear boots. So I was like, well, I already wear boots. So I just started, you know, kind of like buying the shirts that looked like rebel shirts, and started hanging around with the rebels and going to, you know, raves and house parties and what have you, and you know, I started finding my people that way, and then a lot of these rebels turned into taggers, you know, so we started tagging for a while, you know. Then I turned into a tagger during high school. I was a tagger. I did that for a while, and then after high school is, you know, just straight work, just go to work. But I won't talk about that. That's later in the book. but I'll keep it at the high school. So the high school, yeah, I really started developing my style, developing my personality, developing, who I really was. And this is it. This is who I was in high school, and, just kind of like a rebel. I guess I'm still a rebel. I'm still Michelle calls me, what does she call me? A rascal. She calls me a rascal. She goes, "You're such a rascal." Because when I met her, I was wearing jeans, boots, white t-shirts, so she was like, as a matter of fact, let me show you a picture. That's what I looked like in high school. So that was my style in high school. And Michelle, when I got with Michelle, I was dressed like that. And she was like, "You're a rascal. You're just a rascal." I was like, "I'm a rebel." And she was like, "No, you're a rascal." So it's been a joke ever since, we've gotten together that I'm her little rascal. And I'll take it, I'll take it. I like being her rascal. But yeah, so high school was a blast. I loved it. Like any adult, like any of you that are watching this, I guarantee you can say this, because now I can say this with all my heart. I can say, and my parents used to tell me all the time, or my mom used to say, I wish I can go back. I wish I knew then what I know now, and I would go back in a heartbeat. And because I'll tell you, my high school years were fun. It were fun, scary, just time of my life. It was a time of my life, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, I do. I miss my high school days. I miss my high school years, but hey, it was a stepping stone. It was my chapter in life, closed it out, and been living my next chapter ever since. So I'm back home, and that's gonna do it for my high school. I gotta keep these kind of short because I got a lot to go on this book, and I want to continue doing them. So I'm gonna keep it short, and I'll see you on the next one. Let me get my drink. I got Big Red, by the way, Big Red soda. I'm out. Man, this is what sucks about monsoon. Look at my truck. I can't even keep it clean. And poor Jeep. And then ever since I had to knock that tree down, I ain't got no shade. And they still haven't picked up my branches.